Thank you. I have to check if this is on. I told the story before. Those of you who grew up in a Roman Catholic church or a high liturgy Protestant church, at the beginning of the Eucharist, everyone would say, "The Lord be with you," and the congregation would respond, "and also with you." Well, there was a priest and his acolyte, and he was having trouble with the mic, and sometimes it was on and sometimes it wasn't on. And when he got to that part, he said, instead of saying, "The Lord be with you," he said, "Something's wrong with this mic." And the congregation said, "And also with you." So here we go. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Evansville on this nice, cold, late autumn day. We're going to begin our service by singing hymn number 1008 in the teal hymnal. So if you would please stand, and if you're willing and able, and we'll sing this together.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear the voices in each other's words, in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of secret space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Evansville. Whoever you are, however you got here, we welcome all of you, and it's a joy for us all to be here together this morning, so thank you. I want to ask if there are any church announcements that need to be made this morning. Okay, let's take a number.
I just want to announce that our next Friends Night Out will be on December the 13th. We are planning it for Cork and Cleaver. We always start at 6 o'clock. I don't have a sign-up sheet out there yet, but I will before you leave here today. So if you're interested, please sign up now with your name and contact information, and we'll go have fun on December 13th.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm Kendall. If you're here for the meeting, you'll hear more about why I'm making this announcement later. We are gonna try to do an outreach with Hillcrest Youth Services. They're asking for donations for the kids for Christmas gifts. If you have any questions about what they're looking for or anything like that, you can come talk to me.
Thank you.
Perfect lead-in, just a reminder, today is our mid-year sort of congregational meeting. No big decisions are being made, so if you're online and you're worried about getting here to vote, we'll try to give everything at least an email and then document it online. But we do want to talk about some of the stuff that we are preparing to vote on at the year-end meeting and give everybody an update on some of the stuff that we've been doing as a board, just as a touch point. Again, don't have to be here. There will be subs served as lunch. Aaron's bringing some drinks and some dessert as well. So we will feed you just to listen to us. That is the hook. As always, no free lunch though. You have to listen to us talk. But it is a good idea just to get caught up on what we're doing as a overall community here at UU and just know some of the things that we're trying to take care of as a board and church business. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for that work.
I'm Jennifer from the Worship Committee, and I'm just giving you a heads up on some of the things that are going forward in the month of December. So on December 8th, the theme is Mary and Joseph. It's also the second Sunday of Advent, and we will be lighting the Advent calendar throughout the month of December. And the Advent calendar's here, we're going to be lighting it today. And then on the 15th of December, it is going to be Yule or winter solstice, which is a pagan celebration. And anyone who would like to contribute to that Sunday service, please meet with me. I would love your input. And then on December 22nd, we will be celebrating Christmas, and that will be the fourth Sunday of Advent as well. And then on the 29th of December, the entire worship committee will be doing that service, and that will be 2024, the year in review. And anyone who has been a speaker or who has contributed to services in the year of 2024 that would like to be part of that year in review service, please get with us. We'd love your contribution.
I have to follow up with a little extended information on that Mary and Joseph thing.
Thank you.
Next week, that will be the theme, but it will be the first presentation of the not quite ready for church time. Did I get that yet? Theatrical group. We will be doing a fun, locally within the church written play, and that will be in lieu of the service. So something a little different. Come and clap for us, even if we're terrible, because we need that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Sharon. It is a tongue-in-cheek take on the nativity story, but it's good, I think. So we will have an altered order of service that day, but do come. You'll have a good time, I think. I'm going to do that. Also, a note for today. There is no story for all ages, but that's when we'll do the Advent wreath. So we can do that at that time. Any other announcements today? Anyone online? Okay, we mentioned that we welcome everyone. Our door is open, and we are hopefully serious and faithful to that, but we also like to recognize visitors. And we don't want this to be a painful exercise, but if you are a visitor today, if you would stand and tell us your name so we can greet you properly. Any visitors online? Okay, well, great. Well, we also have a tradition here where we take a few moments each Sunday to stand, move around, share the energy of the room, and to greet one another. So take a few minutes to do that this holiday weekend. Thank you, Mark. We are blessed with outstanding music here. And now with Unitarian Universalist churches worldwide, we light our chalice. And instead of a reading this morning, we're going to listen to a song whose lyrics I think are appropriate for a chalice lighting. So Molly, if you can cue that up, please. And if I could have a volunteer to come and light the chalice.
Somewhere along the road, someone waits for me. Beyond these present storms that blow, waiting patiently. No secrets held in an open heart, a spirit that soars over mountains. Somewhere along the road, someone waits for me. Somehow a guiding light always shows the way to those who lose their way by night, searching for the day away from happiness. Tomorrow will bring
It's a marvelous ethical question, though. Maybe we should put the plates in the back to make it available to all people. I'll have to think about it. See me after, before David takes it away. Okay, and now we will light our Advent wreath. And Jennifer, would you come and light the candle, please? And this is a prayer, and this is from the UU side.
Well, since I'm the pagan in the house, is there anyone of the more of the Christian bent that would like to light the candle today instead?
Well, it's got pagan roots, so we're fine.
I know, but I'm welcoming anyone else who might like to light it. You want to do the reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blessed Creator who moves in the dark, teach us to hope. Help us to be ready to appreciate the spark of light that comes to illuminate our hearts and show the way toward love and peace. Help us to find breath to call out injustice, to speak words of love to those in need, to whisper in the wind that there is good in this world and enough to share. In the true belief that someday this world can become a beloved community that holds us all in care, we light this candle of hope. Amen, and blessed be. Our opening words this morning are from Charles Eisenstein. In fact, the whole service is going to be based on this, and you can blame Barbara Stahura for this. she sends me this thing, but this idea struck me so, well, I think it's a pretty profound notion, and I wanted to share it with you all and at least put it out there for people to think about and more around, and perhaps we'll have time to discuss it later. It's from an article called on political bypassing. The clinical psychologist John Winewood defines spiritual bypassing as, quote, the tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks, end quote. The bypasser spiritualizes social, relational, and political issues in an attempt to avoid their messiness and drama, and steers conversations into spiritual ideas where he or she enjoys the social advantage or psychological comfort. It isn't only spiritual ideas that lend themselves to this kind of avoidance. Accordingly, we might define a new term, political bypassing, as follows. It is the tendency to use political narratives and framing in order to avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks, or assert social dominance. Political bypass politicizes emotional, relational, and spiritual issues, viewing them all through a political lens. Often the bypasser will steer conversation into a political arena in which he or she enjoys a social advantage and or psychological comfort. Ironically, spiritual bypassing sidesteps not just emotional and relational issues, it also bypasses authentic spiritual understanding. Political bypassing similarly forestalls a deeper understanding of politics. That's because in each case, the conception of politics or spirituality is artificially narrow. Spirituality should include all the things that the bypassing avoids. It is supposed to infuse the sacred into life, not relegate it into a realm separate from life. In our community, we take time each week to share the stories of our lives because everyone's story in life is important. And we do that by taking time to come to the mic on the floor. And now we will take a few moments of quiet time, which time you can pray, meditate, simply enjoy the quiet, take in the energy of the room. And after a few moments, we will break the silence by singing together hymn number 123 in the great hymnal, Spirit of Life.
shining light, the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. By the way, Joel, thank you very much for that birthday gift. Tomorrow's my birthday, so that was awesome. I'd like to take a picture of that poem.
Okay, as the opening words pointed to, I wanted us to think about things, or at least my understanding, that are really complicated, and things that we need to understand as really complicated, and things that we need to reckon with as complicated. So when we think about solutions. And Eisenstein, I think, brilliantly outlines that whole process in talking about, or he, as an example, the issue of Latin American immigration. And this is what he writes, which I think is worth passing on. If we, fluent and comfortable with such arguments, diagnose the anti-immigrant sentiment as the product of racist and xenophobic hatred of brown-skinned foreigners, we will miss out on a whole other complex of causes that may be more fundamental. The liberal media frames the issue as racism versus compassion, but says little about causes of immigration, such as neoliberal economic policies and the global debt system that make life in many global South countries so unlivable that people will risk everything to uproot themselves and move to a foreign country. Nor is there much mention of U.S. support for the paramilitaries, death squads, and despotic regimes that are necessary to subjugate a population to an extractive economic order. Nor is there any understanding that immigrants are a kind of final export. Once a nation has been stripped of its minerals, oil, timber, etc., all that is left to export is its young people. Nor, finally, is there much discussion of how the migrant-generating global economic and imperialist order hollows out the North American working and middle classes as well, pitting them in artificial competition with immigrants and creating the social divisions that allow the elite classes to maintain their rule. Am I saying that racial hatred is not a problem? No, I am not saying that. However, it is much less challenging to the status quo for us to denounce xenophobia than it is to expose the foundations of a global system that necessarily generates endless misery, poverty, oppression, and xenophobia. Racial narratives have traditionally been used to justify that system, but they can just as readily be used to prop it up. And I guess the notion I wanted to give us today is that when we're thinking about issues such as that or any other issue, I think the conflict in the Middle East right now is most often, at least in our media, begins with October 7th a year ago, but there's no mention of the whole history of the foundation of Israel and its relationship to the Palestinian people that's gone on for now 70 plus years. And I don't think it's, I don't think it's inappropriate to, to analyze the behavior of a state as opposed to a race of people or a faithful people. We don't talk about that. I also think it would be, and again, that's a very long and complicated history in the whole Middle East. And none of that's brought up or reckoned with in our policy decisions. Similarly, in the Ukraine conflict, there's a whole history there of the relationship of Ukraine to the former Soviet Union, the relationship of the two provinces to Russia, the existence of Russian ethnics in those provinces, the relationship of NATO to all of that. It's a long and complicated history, and we just write it off pretty much as one side is bad, one side is good, and in the end of the story. But thinking about what might be a just and helpful solution so that people don't have to die and countries don't get destroyed, we might want to reckon with those complicating and messy factors, which we generally do not. So that's the notion I wanted to get in today, that we as principled people, that we take the time and the energy to deal with the mess of things, and to reckon with, as Einstein points out, even with immigration, that there's all of those factors play into the fact that people are coming to our border in the South. And they just need to be part of the discussion. And what that means, I don't have any solutions necessarily, but I do think it's important to reckon with all of those factors in every case, and that, again, as informed and mature and moral people, we reckon with the messiness of things and recognize their complexity, and that in the midst of all that, we make decisions that are the best we can do at the time, and recognize that we may need to change them in the future given new realities and new factors that come into play. Someone said once, there really are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. And sometimes I don't know, that's kind of a scary thought to me, but it comes to me from time to time. So in the midst of things, we do the best we can, and that there are trade-offs that we'll have to make things work, or to keep people alive and flourishing. So we have a few minutes. I wondered if anyone has any comments about those kinds of things.
I think in both instances, and like you were saying with the political bias, I think a lot of the times when we start to discuss these topics and choose who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, we tend to forget the history that's behind the whole conflict. It is, again, 70 years of very, very complicated history with the Israel and Palestine thing that has been summed up into the last year. And people have made decisions on that. And I think that it is very important when we get into political discussions to remember that these are people. They have moms and dads and brothers and sisters that are living in their houses with them that force their hand to make certain decisions. With the people coming to the border, I have yet to meet an immigrant that I didn't enjoy talking to, and working with and learning from. They're not here to take jobs. There's actually, I believe it was Florida, there was an instance where they banned immigrants from working in one of the cities. And within a week, they asked all of them to come back and work because they were the only ones who would pick up the branches out of the streets. Nobody else would take that job. So they're not stealing jobs from people. We don't want those jobs. They're willing to do whatever it takes to make ends meet, whereas we're used to certain comforts. And I think it's important to remember that they are struggling.
Thank you.
So I'm the child of a Mexican immigrant, and when I was 15, I worked a fake social to work in agriculture, and to help make ends meet. And there was not another American in the entire farm. The foremans were Americans, and they know that all of us are working fake socials. So to me, a difficulty that I have is that there are no solutions, and that I've seen, like, I wish there were solutions. I mean, in my head, it's like, we need to be taxed more, Americans need to sacrifice more, because, sorry, but like, people don't know this, where their things are coming from. Like, people are being taken advantage of, and I know tariffs are coming, and it's coming from an administration that I personally don't support, but at least it'll force Americans to pay more and maybe think about where their things are coming from and the humans that produce these things. Because when I worked at those fields, it was seen as a pro that you could work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. But we were paid minimum wage, which was like $9, but people were happy that we were given so many hours, and that was seen as awesome. But to most people, that would be seen as too much work. And that's it. I just, I want to look for solutions, and I don't know, maybe go to City Hall and see how politics works in our local place, just to see. That's it.
It is a very complicated situation. If you think about, one of the worst words besides genocide is displaced. And a lot of people are coming to our country because of the political situation in their country is worse than ours. And so they become displaced. Joseph and Mary were displaced. People from Europe came to America as illegal immigrants. If you think about it, displaced for religious freedom. And there's people in America that because of the last election, they got a go bag ready, and they're going to be displaced. You know what I'm saying? Because, my wife and I even discussed it, if it gets bad, we might leave the country. I don't know what this next 4 years is going to be like, but it's kind of sad everywhere you look at it. But at the same time, I try to stay positive. If I see someone from another country, I try to be positive to them, and I'm hoping everything's going to be okay with them. So all I can say is I hope if you ever bump into someone from another country here, try to be encouraging as much as you can. That's all.
When there are conflicts, locally or globally, there are people and organizations and entities that benefit from conflict, always. The military-industrial complex benefits economically from conflict. The industries that produce bombs and warheads, et cetera, benefit from conflict. They don't mind if there are more wars around the globe. So I always like to say, okay, where's the money going? Who profits from XYZ? So you have to look at who's agitating, who's causing the conflict, and who benefits from it. That's where I always go. Where's the money going? Who's getting the money? Because that's where I look for. And then you have to counterbalance that and bring that attention there. That's what matters to me. And then I bring my attention to what I can do to counterbalance that. Because big money is big money. It has a lot of power. But doesn't care about the individual, doesn't care about communities, doesn't care about the marginalized communities particularly, and That's who I care about.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? Well, thank you all for those responses. And we will continue now with our service. Our closing hymn is number 131 in the gray hymnal. If you would stand and sing together, please.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
If you'd repeat the words in the bulletin as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame. Fire of commitment as we carry in our hearts till we are together again. Our closing words are from Leo Say. 30 spokes share the wheel's hub. It is the center hole that makes it useful. Shape clay into a vessel. It is the space within that makes it useful. Cut the doors and windows for a room. It is the holes that make it useful. Therefore, profit comes from what is there. Usefulness comes from what is not there. Go in peace, and may your living bless the world. Well, I can give you the article if you want. I have it online.
Yeah, if I could get a,
Well, I really like this guy's thinking, and I think that's, like,
thank you.
then you can keep that.
All right, thank you. And I hope, sorry, I got a little too passionate, but.
No, that's fine. That's fine. The floor's open.
Okay, thank you for, it feels good. I've never told anyone that, about that, so
Sure.
it feels good to talk to a community who's talking about what I lived through. It's interesting.
Well, I appreciate you doing that, and I think that's the point I was trying to make was, again, that there's a bunch of reasons, some of which are the result of our government's policies vis-a-vis Latin America and the global South, period. So,
Yeah.
and it just never comes up. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, they're bad guys or they're good guys and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
and
it's
and it
something-
just gets,
Like giant rifts develop and it's
well,
not-
it's simplistic. We're missing,
Yeah.
again, although all that part is missing. History of the Middle East is missing.
yeah.
History of, well, I think, the Russia-Ukraine thing is missing. I mean, there's a bunch.
People forget about when about 2012, I think, when Russia invaded and took over the Donbass region.
Well, I think they got Crimea then.
Oh, Crimea, right.
Which was also full of Russian ethnics, and
Yeah.
Crimea's apparently okay with it now, and that's never going to go back. But those two regions have a bunch of Russian ethnics too,
Yeah,
and
it's something I'll look into, and thank you.
and it doesn't mean, but
Nuance.
my only point is